All right, welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about something
Okay.
that I think every parent has heard at some point, and that is this idea that parenting is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Um, and we hear that and we're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, what does that really mean? Like, how does that actually play out
Yeah.
when you are, like, knee-deep in diapers
Yeah.
or, up all night with a teething baby? Like, what does
Exactly.
it mean to say it's a marathon and not a sprint when, like,
Right.
every day feels like a sprint?
Exactly. Yeah. And are we talking, marathon training intensity or just
Right.
pacing ourselves? What does that really even mean?
Yeah, what kind of marathon are we even talking about? So
Yeah.
we're going to deep dive into this today
All right,
and
fair.
really try to untangle this a little bit,
Sounds good.
and hopefully walk away with, like, some sort of, like, actual advice for how to apply this.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I thought was really interesting, that all of the sources that we looked at kind of agreed on,
Yeah.
is that this is not about, hitting milestones quickly or, like, getting your kid to read by age 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's about being consistent and showing up every day and sort of, like, growing and evolving
I love that.
alongside your kid. But I think that's, like, a really hard thing to actually put into practice.
It is. I mean, it really does, I think, highlight that this marathon analogy.
Yeah.
It speaks to how we need to be constantly adapting and evolving, just like a runner for
Yeah.
their training as their kids grow.
Yeah, like, what does that look like? What does it mean to adapt?
So, I mean, think about it, just like a runner trains differently for hills versus flat terrain, right? Like
Yeah.
parenting a toddler requires different skills
Right.
than guiding a teenager, right?
Yeah.
So those early years might be all about setting boundaries and establishing routines and
Right.
things like that.
Yeah, and then, like, as they get older, it becomes more about communication and empathy
Exactly.
and letting them kind of, like, make their own
Well,
mistakes and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. You're not going to be able to set a boundary for a teenager in the same way
Right. Yeah.
that you would for a 2-year-old.
I mean, I think about, like, when my son was learning to walk,
Mm-hmm.
it was like a full-on sprint.
Yeah.
I was, like,
Yeah.
constantly chasing him around, making sure he wasn't going to, like, tumble down the stairs.
Uh-huh.
And then, now he's older and the challenges are so different. Now it's more like
Yeah.
helping him navigate his independence.
Right. And like make good choices. And those shifts
Yeah, exactly.
in parenting terrain, I like to call them, can feel like sprints.
Oh.
Within the marathon,
Okay.
think about potty training or sleep regressions.
Yeah.
The teenage years,
Oh,
these are like intense periods where you need to kind of like
yeah.
adjust your strategy,
Right.
call in support. Like, you got to call in the reserves.
So we're constantly kind of, like, shifting between, like, sprinting and long distance mode. I mean, how do we?
Yeah, it's more about recognizing those sprints for what they are.
Okay.
They're temporary challenges within the larger journey, and remembering the marathon mindset. I think
Right.
that helps us maintain perspective
Okay.
and avoid feeling overwhelmed by those
Okay.
intense phases.
So, like, I know that this hill is really steep right now, but I'm gonna get to the top eventually,
Yes.
and it's gonna be worth it.
And the view's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Exactly. And just like a marathon runner needs proper fuel and a support system.
Right.
We parents need to prioritize self-care
Yes.
and build a network of people who understand,
Yeah.
demands of this race.
That's such a good point, because I think it's easy to feel like, oh, I should be able to handle this all on my own. I
Yeah.
don't need help, but you really do.
We all do.
Yeah, and it's okay to ask for it
Absolutely.
and take breaks.
Yes.
Take care of yourself so that you can show up for your kids.
That's right. We can't pour from an empty cup. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a saying. So taking breaks,
Yeah.
asking for help, celebrating the small wins along the way.
Yeah.
These are all parts of our marathon training plan.
Yes, I love that.
And that training, it's not just about surviving the race,
Mhm.
right? It's about making it fulfilling for both you
Yeah.
and your child.
That's so important.
It is.
Yeah.
This isn't about achieving some picture perfect ideal.
Right.
It's about showing up authentically, doing your best one step at a time.
Yeah, because I think we get so caught up in, like, what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
Or like what we see on social media.
Absolutely.
And it's like, no one's life is actually like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's really more about like showing up and doing your best and remembering that. It's a journey for both of you.
Yeah.
Right. Your kid is on a journey. You're on a journey.
Absolutely.
You're in it together.
Yeah. So the takeaway here, I think, is that it's a constant evolution.
Yes.
Both for you and for your kid. And remembering that it's a marathon helps us stay focused on like those long-term goals.
Yes.
Which are like, raising kind, capable,
right.
humans,
Yes.
even when we're in the middle of a really tough sprint,
That's it.
Like even when it feels like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, I'm never going to sleep again, or I can't handle another tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
It's helpful to just zoom out and be like, okay, this is just a sprint. I'm in it for the long haul.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to help you reach the finish line.
Okay.
Right. And make it a fulfilling race for everyone.
I like that.
So as you reflect on your own parenting marathon up, what training adjustments or support systems do you need to invest in right now to make this journey sustainable and rewarding for everyone? That's a great question to think about. And on that note, we are going to wrap up this deep dive. Thank you all so much for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.